At our other center, Lohana Center, I had one of my first talks on Hanuman Chalisa for 2 days. And after that, it's a pleasure to see this wonderful hall of the Lohana community and getting an opportunity to be with all of you. We'll start with a short invocation, and time is short. Go straight to a subject very dear to everyone's heart, and that is happiness. Please join me in chanting Om. Om. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. It is not something that is difficult for us to understand that each and every one of us seeks happiness. And even though it appears that we want different things along with happiness. But why do we need all these different things if we keep inquiring? Like once when I was with Puja Gurudev, Swami Chinmayananda in Singapore, and I was left alone in the university. And Singapore, everything looks alike. Trees also. People also, and especially the university building. And I saw an unusual sight, a young man coming on a bicycle. I asked that man, where are you going? Because I wanted a direction. So he said, I'm going to college. He was curious to know everything about me, why I'm wearing orange clothes, who is a Swami, why did I become a Swami? And I was in no mood in that Singapore heat to give these answers. And the best way to avoid questions is ask questions. Yeah? One wife was constantly complaining to her husband that every time I ask you a question, you ask me a counter question. And he says, do I? So I was asking a question to him so that I would not be asked unnecessary questions. So I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to college. So I said, I'm going in that direction. Can you show me the university? So I said, why are you going to college? He says, of course, I need knowledge. So I said, so you enjoy your studies? He said, who enjoys studies? I've come here to get a degree. So I said, suppose I give you a degree, will you go to college? He said, certainly not, but this is not India, huh? I said, why everybody thinks only in India this is possible? It's possible anywhere else also. So he said, what degree will give you? I said, you ask me any degree. So he said, then can I get a job with that degree? I said, make up your mind, you want a degree or a job? He says, obviously I want a degree because I want a job. So I said, then come to our mission. We work from the villages onwards to school, hospitals, teaching centers. There's plenty of work. Come to the mission. I'll give you a job. We are looking out for people actually. So he said, but how much money will I get? I said, you're coming for a job or you're coming for money? So obviously I want a job because I want money. I said, then say straight you want money. How much money do you want? How many millions do you want? So he said, I was wondering what to ask a Swami, So he said, 15 million, it's like chalega? So I said, just 15 million, whether you want in dollars, Singapore dollars, US dollars, or sterling pounds. He didn't know the difference also. He said, which is more? I said, sterling pounds as yet. So he said, Acha, really? Okay, you can give me 15 million pounds. So I said, it's there in your bank. He said, you mean it's in my bank? I can do with it whatever I want. I can buy my Ferrari. I can buy my... Ferrari means car, huh? So, can I buy all that? I said, you never said anything about buying anything. You said you want the money is in your bank, but you cannot use that money. He says, what use of the money if I can't buy things for myself? So I said, then say what you want. Make up your mind. What is it that you want? He said, I want a car, I want a wonderful house, I want all my smart gadgets and everything. So I said, okay, great. You want all these things. You can have it. So he said, you mean I can drive my car around, show it off to the girls and all that? I said, wait, you never said about driving the car. So he looked at me in a very peculiar way that, what's the Swami talking about? I said, you asked for a car. You never said that you have to drive. He said, of course I want to drive. I said, why do you want to drive? He said, because I want to show off. I said, why do you want to show off? He said, because I want to enjoy the car. I said, why do you want to enjoy the car? He said, I want to be happy. I said, why do you want to be happy? Why does anybody want to be happy? And he had no more answer. See, we go to college to gain knowledge. Is knowledge for the sake of knowledge? No, it is to get a degree. Was the degree for the sake of degree? Who likes to just put a degree on the wall? Is to get a job. Is the job for the sake of job? It's for money. Is money for the sake of money? It is to buy things. Are the things for the sake of things? Bottom line is that the only thing that is for its own sake is happiness. We do contrary things. You get married because you want to be happy. Is it not? Why? It's a joke? Let your youngsters know. You want to get married because you want to be happy. You divorce also because? I heard somewhere happier. And a divorcee wants to marry again to be what? Just look at the irony of life. Everything that we do is to be happy. From the womb to the tomb, whether you're going to a temple or whether you're going to a bar, you're going to be happy only, is it not? You go to the temple to be miserable? Or you go to the bar? You go to the bar because you're miserable. Yeah. In life, everything, if only we realize that it is not things or situations that we want. The common desire is we want happiness. But which happiness do we want? Do we want a happiness that we have today and tomorrow it is taken away from us? In fact, that is greater misery. You didn't have it, you might learn to be happy in that situation. But when it is taken away from you or you lose it, it is greater misery. So even though what we want is permanent, everlasting happiness, all the time we are hoping to get it from impermanent situations, changing people. Is it not? changing situation, changing people, changing objects with equipments of ours which is also changing. Is it not? So is permanent happiness possible? But we are all seeking for permanent happiness, permanent success, permanent love. Are we not? And deep down, also a permanent life. Having come into this human birth, our rishis point out that having got this precious human birth, where we become self-aware, where we can plan out our future, and we can look through the veil of future also, and we can make a difference consciously in our lives. Having got such a precious birth and not used it to attain that which is permanent, everlasting, immortal, and attain that immortality, and like any other corn in the field or any other creature, we bond, we do enjoy our life. Let us not say that we don't enjoy, otherwise we wouldn't be here also, is it not, in this life? We do enjoy also, but the final end of life is what? Own children leave and go away from home, leaving us lonely. Health betrays us. No? Partners in life change. Having got this human birth where we can get that which is permanent, immortal, and only in the permanent and immortal can there be permanent, everlasting happiness. See, once I was in a train, the train was late. The train also was late. I was in the train, and this person was even later than the train. How did they expect that the train would be waiting for them? Got into the train, got the upper bunk, and next thing is, our food packets open. And we don't eat alone. We have to have conversation when we eat. So he brought out his food and started talking. I was waiting in the train for 3 hours, and I was reading my Bhagavad Gita. These days, that's the only place you can read it. There's no place you have time, So I was reading the Bhagavad Gita. So sitting on the upper bunk, he's asking me, "What are you reading?" Yeah? So I showed him the Bhagavad Gita. I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita. So he said, "Tell me in short." Just like I have to tell you in short everything that the Bhagavad Gita says in 800 verses, but he was telling in shorter than 30 minutes. My Guru had taught me that there will be such railway travelers who, to make conversation, will tell you that in short, tell me the Bhagavad Gita. And he said, tell the truth straight away. Yeah? And just say very nicely that the substratum of this world is the seer of the world. You understood anything? He also didn't understand. Yeah? From that time onwards, he will ask no more questions on the Gita. Anyway, he stopped asking the questions on the Gita, but since I was in no mood of asking questions, he started asking me why I'm wearing orange, and finally like that, I'm making conversation. One whole night in the train passed away. Next day morning, he's telling me, by the way, where are you off to? I was going to Chennai, South India I was going. So I said, I'm going down to, I said, he won't know Coimbatore, but everybody knows Madras. South is Madras. No? So I said, I'm going down south to Madras. I was actually going to Coimbatore, where our international school is. So I said, I'm going there. So he said, where is Coimbatore? I said, Madras. So he said, see how much science has developed, no? I said, science is constantly developing. How wonderful. The upper bunk is going to Delhi and the lower bunk is going to the... Is it possible sitting in the same train? Yet the irony is, we want to reach that which is permanent, but all our life's effort goes in trying to get that which is impermanent. And therefore this uneasy insecurity is there in everyone. We will lose our wealth one day. We will lose our health one day. No? We will lose our life one day. And worse still, we will lose our loved ones someday. And Bhagavad Gita, when should we read it? We want happiness here and now, not after we are dead. You know, all these youngsters who keep coming to our camps and discourses, and tomorrow also all of them will be sitting at a camp retreat on Saturday, Sunday, while many people will be partying around. When all these youngsters, they come for these spiritual talks and all that, while many people are wasting their time in getting that which is impermanent, think about it. Arjuna also had success. Arjuna also had success. He was a very successful person. Wherever he went, he was victorious. And also brought in a lot of wealth. Therefore, he is called as Dhananjaya. He is a fighter and a soldier. When he goes into the battlefield, he is not afraid of death. Because for his country, for his people, he is ready to die, but he wants to bring victory to his country. We all want success, but we want that success that will be permanently with us. But the worst thing is, even sometimes we get what we want. Even if we get what we want, are we really happy? No? Arjuna wanted this war for a long time. Not because he wanted to take revenge on his cousin brothers, but those who could do to their cousins this, what they did. They, if they rule the country, will they not be selfish? Will they not loot the country? Will they not abuse the country? Is it not the responsibility of every noble person in the country, in the society, to stand up and do whatever they can? And here Arjuna is in the position where he can make a difference. In fact, it is a great opportunity that has come to him in life. Not only that will bring him great fame and success in his personal life, but besides that, he would have affected the history of the world by removing those evil, selfish rulers and creating a kingdom of peace, harmony, productivity. Such is a great opportunity for Arjuna. But as I was pointing out to you, that when we are young, we want to be happy here and now. And many of our youngsters sometimes go and say, I'm going for a spiritual camp. Their grandparents will tell them, Are, this Gita, is meant when you are about to die. Yeah? They will say like that. Gita teaches us how to live here and now happily. It is not talking about how to die miserably. Then you can steal the Gita, no? It's meant for old people, but sometimes our cheeky youngsters ask, then grandfather, why aren't you reading it? No? It is not meant for dying. It's meant for living. And there are wonderful, wonderful tips for success, happiness, prosperity, love, self-discovery and enlightenment. Today we will take just few very important tips. And here is Arjuna, who is an achiever, and he has got plenty of knowledge. He's an educated prince. Even rishis have come to his homes. His grandfather, his grandsire or uncle, is a very learned man. He has learnt all this. Culturally, he's been brought up in this culture like practically all of us. Yet when we are faced by a daunting situation, when you're faced by a challenging situation, the best of us, our mind and intellect split. One side, his intellect tells him, what you have to do is something noble, it is great, it's a great opportunity to make a difference to society. And it is your duty. You're a soldier. On the other side, dear and near ones will die. Even though some of them are there killing others, they have to be brought under control, but still there are others. Life situations never comes easy. In fact, life is like an acupressurist. Have you ever gone for reflexology? Huh? Because I've seen many mothers here who I know are doing a lot of seva in reflexology in some community places. But if you go there, they'll say no pain, no gain. That's a typical dialogue of any Chinese acupressurist. Life hits you the most where it pains. Not because it wants to hurt you, it only shows that there is a weakness there. And any pain should not be suppressed. We should get to the cause of it. We don't want sorrow, we want happiness, but everything we do eventually lands us up in sorrow. In fact, Krishna's first message in the Gita is Asochananvasocastvam pragyavadascha bhashyase gatasuna gatasuncha nanushochanti pandita. The first message by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is that if you are wise, refuse to be miserable. Life can be painful, but life need not be sorrowful. There is a difference between the two. No? Like suppose while you're cutting vegetables, you cut your finger. It is painful, it hurts. But if you keep complaining, why this happened to me? It should have not happened to me. Why these things happened only to me? Or it was so-and-so shouting and that's why I cut my finger. The blame game starts and your misery increases. No? First tip is, be wise. If I want to be happy, find occasions to be happy. Don't find occasions to be miserable. Any life situation, you'll find two people in that situation. One is happy, one is miserable. That means the situation doesn't give you happiness or joy. It is the art of right contact with life. Yeah. Lose your wealth, but never lose your mind. Lost wealth can be gained, but a lost mind is very hard to bring it back. Refuse to be miserable. Don't use these fancy words, depressed. It's a fad. Nowadays, if you're rich and famous and you're not on antidepressant, you're not rich. Prevention is better than cure. We use these words, but Krishna has used them in greater depth. That before you fall into this self-pity, blame game, life situations being miserable, or this one is not fair, that one is not fair, why this to me? Before that, awaken that responsibility comes only to those who are responsible. Challenges are faced by only those people who are strong and courageous. And if life is bringing you such opportunities, it is your opportunity to manage well and make failure into success. That is your glory. No? So Bhagavad Gita says, have a right perspective of life. That we are all here to be happy. Then why create misery for ourselves? Why choose to be miserable? Why not choose to be happy? And in any situation you can be happy. That famous example, everybody has used it, you must be hearing, everybody talks about it, but who practices it? No? That when you get a glass of, I won't say milk, these days nobody drinks milk. Yeah. Hot, dark Belgium chocolate. Yeah. Or at the same time, you get just half a bread of pav bhaji which you're going to get. You can look at the half which you don't have and feel miserable or say lucky. Because you were sitting right in the front and everyone in the back got the chance to go and eat the pav bhaji before you. Lucky that at least you got half a bread. Look at least that way. Have the right perspective of life. Now this is just about bread or something like that, or a half glass of milk, or full glass of milk, or half full glass of milk, or half empty glass of milk. It's how you view it. Same way in life. Challenging situations do not come to, ordinary people. The challenges that the president and the prime minister feels, or a business tycoon feels, is much bigger than any small issues that can rise in small companies. But when you have that challenge, you can take that challenge as an opportunity rather than a problem. The first lesson Krishna says is, be wise and refuse to be miserable. Second is that how do you perceive the situation? Have the right perspective. Any situation can be a problem, and every problem can be an opportunity. Choose to see as a problem and you will be bogged down by it. Choose to see an opportunity and you will be inspired by it. Which is better? Tell me. Yeah? A difficult situation has come in front of you. If you take it as a problem, you will be disturbed, anxious. Take it as an opportunity to make a difference, to make a change, to overcome it, to develop yourself, and immediately it becomes what? It becomes an opportunity that inspires you. So, live a life of inspiration. But we are always anxious about what will happen. Being human beings, since we plan out our future, no doubt we are anxious about our future. And this very, very pertinent and significant message that Krishna has given in the Gita, and even if nobody knows anything about the Gita, this is the often quoted words of the Gita. And it is a sutra. It's a sutra means it is like a capsule. And any capsule, when you look at it, it's just one small colorful pill, very nicely coated, colorful also. But when you put it inside, it explodes into medication. In fact, each verse of the Bhagavad Gita is a medication for life. But more and all, it is a meditation on life. A simple looking statement, which even if a child follows it, will see the result. You may not necessarily understand it. But if we live by those principles, and we have seen our grandparents live by the principles, they may not be able to explain it to us, but we have seen them live by that experience, no? And the fact is, it works. But if we try to understand it, these are meditations for life. In the very beginning itself, Krishna has given the right way of action. He says, Karmani eva adhikarate. For you, put all your attention in the action at hand. Yeah? These days everybody says, be mindful, mindful, mindful. But how? No? Bring your mind where your hands are working. But at this moment, our mind is always in the future, either imagining what results I will get, or fearful, what if I don't get or I fail? Is it not? The result is not going to come according to our whims and fancies. The result is going to come according to our action done in the present. We all know every action has an equal reaction. But we expect a great reaction. But our action itself is not with full mindfulness. Yeah. Now it's easy to say that put your mind to your work. Don't you tell the children also? Put your mind to your studies. Stop watching television. Stop sitting on your smartphones. Enough of YouTube. Yeah? Because you know very well that if the action says studies not done properly now, the future will be bleak. No? Because it is our present that goes to make the future. And yet, we know it, but we are constantly worried about the result. Don't ever say that Krishna says that you just do your work and give away the result, or don't worry about the result. Krishna never says that. He says, you put your mind's energy, attention, your complete attentiveness in the work at hand. not only when you do your work like this, you enjoy your work. You keep worrying, I do not know what at the end of it they're going to appreciate me or not, or whether they are going to criticize me, or whether they are going to give me a bonus or not. If you keep thinking like that in your job, you will never enjoy your job. If you keep thinking my children will grow up whether they are going to look after me or not, no parent thinks like that. Therefore, while they are growing up, they enjoy their parenting, don't they? Yeah. And if you have enjoyed your parenting, and even if your children are not going to look after you, you enjoy your grandchildren and enjoy how your children suffer with them. This is called, what they call double whammy, they call it, which means double bonus or double gain, double award. Enjoy the present, then whatever the result will come, sometimes it may be the way you want it, sometimes it may not be the way you want it. But if you have enjoyed the journey, you've already found something worth it. That's why very often you say, enjoy the journey, don't wait for the destination. Of course, you do the journey for the destination, don't bluff yourself. Yeah? But if you've enjoyed the journey, the chance of your destination, I'm not saying a distraction, you will reach your destination. If the action itself is enjoyable, the result will also be enjoyable. If the action itself is struggle, then the result is not even worth it. No? When I say struggle means you're miserable about it. I'm not saying that you didn't put in effort. This is some simple lessons which are life lessons are simple, but to practice them is the difficult part if we do not understand it fully and completely. Half-baked knowledge never helps us, no? Therefore, a proper study of the Gita under a right teacher, when it is there, our own intellect gets convinced. Otherwise, our intellect is not convinced. If it was not for Krishna teaching Arjuna and our Gurudev teaching us what Krishna taught, we would think this is all irrelevant. That you do your action, don't ask for payment. That's how the industry is to write in India. So they make the money and the poor laborer should not ask for anything. That's not the meaning of it. The meaning is that work with all expectation, because you can't be without expectation. To say also, don't expect the result, ridiculous. You plan out a result, you work with that expectation, it inspires you to work. But understand, it is your work that is going to bring the result, not the expectation. So therefore, expect if you have to expect. But do not be disappointed, and you will not be disappointed if you learn to accept. If the expectation drives you to work, acceptance keeps you working till the end. And I'm telling you, just keep this word in any situation in life. Whether it is your doing or it is situational, say economics, etc., that whatever result comes to you, it is only according to your action. But you may not know it. If you have decided to accept the result, not only you will be mindful in your work and not just keep on expecting. At the same time, when the result comes, you will enjoy whatever you got, rather than complain what you did not get. You enjoy the process, and when the result comes, you also enjoy. Is it not that wisdom? Therefore, do your best, leave the rest, because whatever comes, accept. What? Do your best, leave the rest, for you are going to accept. Keep this in your mind. The thing is, the journey is also beautiful, and the result is also enjoyable. And if the life moment to moment is stress-free and enjoyable, then remember, whatever you are today is a memory of your past. If your childhood was miserable, your youth cannot be enjoyable. If your youth was miserable, your adult life is not going to be enjoyable, because life as a whole, when you remember, therefore make each moment happy, each moment beautiful. Find a golden streak in or silver lining in every cloud. It's a matter of attitude. And attitude is a matter of right knowledge. Therefore, do your best, leave the rest, for you are going to accept. Then another beautiful message, I am putting in very simple words. Krishna has explained in details. Remember that people are more valuable than things. Your happiness in life really does not depend on the things you have, but the people whom you love and you are loved by. Is it not? Haven't you seen this filmy dialogue in every Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood movie? Yeah. That when the couple is in love, the boy says, if I marry you, my father is going to expel me from the house and remove me from the will. Basically, I'm unemployed. Without anything, will you marry me? At that time she will say, I will stay even in a nest with you. एक घोंसले में भी रह जाएंगे हम. What will they think? At that time when you are in love, no thing matters. Is it not? Which corner they go and sit. They go to a restaurant also. It's just being together matters. They go to a fine dining restaurant, pay a heavy bill, eat nothing, because anyway they didn't give much for eating. And they keep looking at each other. You've done it, no? Looking at each other was most of your time, not the young ones. When they look at each other, just being with each other, loving each other, always remember that people are more important than things. Therefore, when Krishna points out that to love and be loved, how is it possible? Remember, we are living in a world where everybody is an individual. And to recognize a team, create a family, it is not just created by getting married or running a company and paying money. Teamwork is possible. A family is possible. Harmony in society is possible, and only when there is peace and harmony in society can there be also material progress. Otherwise, everybody is fighting, competing, being competitive with each other. Therefore, Krishna gives another beautiful secret for happiness. Yeah? He says, whether it is nature, whether it is people, whether it is even gods. When I say gods means devatas. God is only one. But in English they have translated devata means the cosmic forces, nature, trees, water. If we have mutual sharing with each other, parasparam bhavayanta shreyam paramavapsyata. A relationship is both-sided. Love can be one-sided. We are independent in loving. In receiving love, it also depends on the other person. But tell me, if you are that rare person in this world who's ready to give love, why not, like bees, people will come running to you? In our mutual sharing with each other, there is love, there is peace, and there is prosperity. The moment we see difference, you and I, mine and yours, that moment conflict will arise. How do we create that peace and harmony? Krishna says, parasparam bhavayanta shreyam paramavapsyata. If in life we share what we have in abundance, if you've got talent, if you've got knowledge, whatever you have, you give, others will come and take and give what they have. Today, I'm telling you, the simple thing is, what does it pay if you have to just give a smile? But even that we will not give till the other person has given. Now, whether the other person smiles back at you or not, it makes you look beautiful or not. The gain is there only, even if the result does not come. No? Parasparam bhavayanta shreyam parama vapsyata. If in life we are ready to share whatever we have, you've got wealth, share it. You've got knowledge, share it. You've got talent, share it. You've got time, share it. And if you all have a charming smile, share it. What does it share to just give a compliment to someone? What does it pay? What would we lose if we just have to praise someone? We are using our language constantly to criticize people. What does it pay? In fact, that person will pay you a compliment in return. And even if it does not, it's someone who hates you, you will definitely give that person a heart attack. And you will be free. You can give them a heart attack, at least they'll discover they have a heart. And third thing is, values are more valuable than valuables. Therefore, in almost every chapter, whether it's the signs of an enlightened master, whether it's the qualities of the devotees, whether it is the quality of those who can gain knowledge, Krishna has pointed out these values. And whom do you like in this world? You just ask yourself one thing. Simple, because if I go to explain all of them, whatever you like to see in others, you become. Simple. You want people to be kind to you, you be kind. Do you like show off, people showing off in front of you how much wealth they have made? You might chase them to get some business deal, but you don't like it. What you don't like in others, don't do it. Simple. Because people will not like you for it. Oh, everybody else is doing it, why should I not do it? Then those everybody else is not liked by anybody. You join the club of the unlikable people. Yeah? Remember, people like people. Why do we worship Ramchandraji? Why did everybody love Ramchandraji? Why did even Sia loved Ramchandraji? You keep on saying, oh, I did Ramchandraji too like that. Sita did not complain. Tell me. Because he was an embodiment of virtues. Values are more precious than valuables. So remember these things. Refuse to be miserable. Have the right attitude. Life brings you situations, not problems. See it as an opportunity. Do your best, leave the rest, for you are going to accept. Then things are more. Good, I'm waiting for your answer. Things are more. People are more important than. If you have happy people around you, you will be happy. You want happiness? Give happiness to others. People around you are happy with you, they will have to give you happiness. Miserable people can't give you happiness. Simple, no? And how do you have happy people around you? Share what you have. Share your happiness with others. Yeah. And remember, values of life bring value to your life. Makes you valuable. Don't ever compromise on your values, even if others behave badly with you. You live up your values, you live up your culture. This is what Krishna tells to Arjuna. Yeah. Whenever even later on Arjuna got revengeful, Krishna stopped him. You're not here to take revenge. Yeah. And the greatest value we like in others is humility. Yeah? And humility is not as pretendance. I didn't do anything. Humility is a strange thing. If you think you've got it, you've lost it. If you've announced it, you never had it. Yeah? Be genuinely humble, and the greatest spiritual knowledge is gained by only those who are humble. Otherwise, we will judge our guru also. And every spiritual gain is how much happier we are, how much happiness we can give to others, and how much less egotistic we have become. That is the sign of spiritual progress. So in the brief time we had, I've given you the crux of the Gita. But with that happiness that Krishna shared with Arjuna timelessly, and our Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda gave us, and thank God we got it early in life. But who's old here? Anybody old? Yeah. Do I look like a senior citizen to you? Yeah. We can put many of these youngsters to shame, is it not? Yeah. So, it's never too late. Study the Bhagavad Gita, 2 verses daily. And this is Gurudev's birth centenary year. Gita is available for you freely. If you want to benefit others, you can put whatever donation you want for it. But it is available for you freely. Read it daily. This whole essence of our teachings also, from Tuesday onwards, we will be having our talks on the Gayatri Mantra, given by the great sage Vishwamitra to everyone. What are its powers? What is the values it teaches us? How it transforms our mind even without it, without us knowing it. Such mighty tools our rishis have given us. That today Harvard, I've been to Harvard, I've given talks there. All of them are using these principles because they've realized all that they thought worked does not work. These timeless principles even in management work. Yeah? Let's not lose this heritage. Keep it alive and pass it on to the generations to come. Benefit and benefit others. And parasparam bhavayanta shreyam paramavapsita. Not only prosperity, but peace and happiness may the whole community gain. So with a prayer of peace and happiness for everybody, we'll conclude. There'll be a couple of announcements for everyone's benefit. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhave, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotir gamaya, mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti.